the key point is, as a business student, we need to really understand the, 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 the nature of the data. So basically the idea here is what's the data about? What's the nature of the data? And what the data can be used for? So for what kind of business question? This is the emphasis of this for our major. And of course, we have to understand technical issues we will talk about later on, but we have different focus from computer science major. That's one thing, my message I deliver. And then let's talk about a little bit exactly for investors, what do we do? For managers, what do we do? So looking at it here, this is textual information we have. So what you do is normally for investors, you help them with trading strategies. So basically, you extract useful information from the textual data, and you tell investors should they invest or not invest. So very simple idea, very simple idea. So we have so much textual information available on the market. How can you, as a accounting finance professional, how can you extract the very relevant information from this textual image data and tell investors you can invest this stock or not that stock? So it's kind of making buy and sell recommendations, making trading decisions. That's what for investors. So there's a two interesting area you guys can look into. One is one is one second. Okay, so there's two interesting area in this for investors. One is, we need to get some information for household investors. Sometimes we call it daddy and mommy investors. Have you guys heard the event GameStop? Like like normally sophisticated hedge funds, they have all the tools. They kind of rip off all the retail investors. But GameStop is a turning point. All the retail investors they herd together, they group together, and then they kind of go against hedge funds. So there's a great attention like in the industry and even in academia how we can get information for household investors. The reason is because for sophisticated hedge funds, these people they already have the tools. They already have the tools to extract the image data, textual data. They already are sophisticated enough to get things running. But for daddy and mommy investors, for ordinary household investors, how many people know machine learning? Like if you ask your mom and daddy, how many people know machine learning? How many people know data analytics? So so how exactly we can get the information for these people? This is one thing we want to know. This is new trend. So the idea here is for sophisticated hedge funds, people they already have the tools. We want to target some people who already they are behind the game. We want to help them. We want to help them. This is one direction you guys can think about. This is household investor decision. Another one is machine learning. We are talking about momentary. Machine learning can do something traditional ways cannot do. Okay, so basically machine learning can help extract more useful information than other methods. This is what we also need to learn. So this is for investors. This is in terms of investors, and also for managers. For managers, this is also important way. Managers, so we can extract the information for managers to make a lot of decisions, making investment decisions, hiring decisions, cash flow decisions, leverage decisions, IT decisions, even CSR decisions. So these are also I talk about later on that you understand this textual data, the data set I talked about earlier in the last video. You can analyze this data to help managers to make decisions. So it depends on where do you work. So let's say low Lozo get a job at the hedge fund company. Then you will analyze the data to help investors. But if Lozo get a job in the corporate, in the firm, then he's analyzing all the data to provide decision support for CEOs, executives. So depends on where do you work. Okay, do you work? But all the data analytics should serve these people. So basically, so uh, so basically, all the data analytics should serve these people. All the data analytics should either serve the investors or serve managers, serve creditors, like we discussed earlier. So here for managers, we help them to make a lot of decisions, investment decisions, leverage decisions. So one trend in this area is we found for public firms, the CEOs, they already have good decision making process. But private firms, startup, these managers, they need more help. So so looking at like a Google 20 years ago, he's huge, right? Google is like a battleship now. But look at Google in 2000, it's a very tiny firm. But at that time, they needed the decision support the most. Look at Google now. Do they need your decision help? They have all the resource to have all the data. They even they make a wrong decision, doesn't matter to them. No, I mean they are too big to fail. Too big to fail. So the idea here is there are many private firms, entrepreneurship. They just start their business. They are the people who need more help from this kind of data analytics, from this textual data analytics. So these are also another interesting angle you can look at, how to help these small firms, startups. For huge firms, for Google, Amazon, they they can afford to make wrong decisions, and they have a huge team to everything to support their decision making. Their decision making is very mature now. But for startups, for private firms, they are in the stage dying for this kind of data analytics. They're dying for it. So this is another direction you can look for. And we're also talking about the creditors. Creditors have two types of creditors: public creditors and private creditors. Public creditors means bond holders. Private creditors means banks. These are private creditors. So in these two ways, in this public and private, so what does that mean? Means they have different incentive to analyze the data. So for public creditors, they want to know whether the firm will go bankrupt or not. So that's bond holders are interested. So bank is interesting what? Bank is more interested in contracting, how to use the information to contract the loan. So different, like going back to my earlier points, different audience of your data analytics have different purpose. For bond holders, they're interested in whether you can pay back the cash, go default. For bank, they're interested in using the data to contract for loan contract. So that's for creditors. So government, we talk about government has common letter. They want to use the information to regulate the firm. So fraud, right? One thing is fraud. If the company is making fraud, the government wants to use data analytics to detect the fraud before it happens, right? We have earlier some case companies making some fraud. If government can use data analytics get the fraud detected, then this is good for the government. So government has all incentive in this all the data use. And hiring decisions, who you should hire. Like when you guys go for a job, company have to make a decision. Should they hire you or hire him, hire whom? So the hiring decision also used a lot for data analytics. For auditors predict restatement, fraud. Customer suppliers, yes, of course, this is very important because the supplier customers want to know how you are doing and use data analytics for supplier decision and customer decision. And these are all the examples, like going back to my earlier case, different audience. We have different purpose for your data analytics. You have to always memorize that. You have to always remember that important point. So